This is Bible School Radio, KDKR, Decatur, Dallas, Fort Worth, KYJC, Commerce, and KMWC, Bethany. Portions of KDKR programming do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or staff.
Prudent Money with Bob Brooks is sponsored by the Prudent Money Foundation on 91.3.
Well, today, saving money on your car. Today, we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. Good afternoon, this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. Tony Joe's in the studio with me today, as he is every Friday, to take your Car Corner questions. I do have a line open. If you'd like to talk to Tony Joe, give us a call at 1-877-913-5357. Do have a line open. We'd love to hear from you today. If you got a question for me, go to the website, www.prudentmoney.com. Send it in, and I will get you taken care of. Well, Tony Joe, how's it going?
Fine. How are you, sir? And might I open with next week training camp?
Yes, it is.
Next Thursday.
Starting next Thursday.
But who's counting?
Yeah, you know, I don't think that you went through as much of the depression this year.
I did. I just didn't show it.
You didn't show it.
Yeah.
You kind of kept it to yourself.
I stood strong, stoic.
Stoic. What did
Never
tell us
let
so
my
well?
feelings out.
So, real quick, not to get off on this, because with the few people we do have listening, we don't want to run them off. What's your prediction for the Dallas Cowboys this year?
Look, I don't really have a prediction yet. I will formulate one during about halfway through training camp, as soon as I learn more about our acquisitions and so forth. But I will say, I can't really answer that yet, Bob. It's too early in the year. But I will say that this is what keeps me going. For me, it's like Christmas Eve, knowing that Oxnard next week starts. You know, I've been really slowing down and running out of juice, and now it's getting within a week of training camp. I'm like, yes, I feel rejuvenated, renewed.
1-877-913-5357. Let's talk to Mildred on line one. Hi, Mildred. What's on your mind today?
Hello. I'm calling to see if it's a good idea to replace or rebuild a 2016 Buick Enclave transmission, or if I need to just get another car. It has about 90,000 miles on it.
Buick what? I'm sorry, Mildred.
Enclave.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, have you priced it anywhere? Do you know what it would cost?
Yes, sir. So I was told that to rebuild the transmission, it would be $5,500 to $7,000, and replaced it and got a used one. He mentioned it would be about $500 to $1,000 less, but less of a guarantee on the longevity of that.
Right. How many miles do you have on this Enclave?
About 90,000.
Yeah, that's not much. Do you know, by chance, is there any way you could find the fair market value of? Maybe you know? Have you priced the vehicle to see what the value of it is currently?
I haven't. No, okay. Sir.
Well, first of all, let me say this: $5,500 to rebuild the transmission in an Enclave is ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous for you to put that kind of money into. You said it was a 2016?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, I would never do that. That would be a no-no. But there are options. I think you should find out through other sources, and if you need some help, we can help you with that. But you need to get another opinion on a used transmission from a wrecked 2016 that you could get the transmission out of and have it installed. $500 less than $5,500 is $5,000 to install a used one. That's a little pricey right there. So somebody's giving you some numbers that are a little off. By chance, is this a dealership quoting you this?
No, sir. It's like a local chain. I don't know if I'm allowed to say names.
No, you don't have to say names, but it's a local, what, transmission shop?
No, sir. It's they do everything. So like an auto shop.
Yep.
So they do everything from like the transmissions to oil change, like everything.
Hey, a 2016 Buick Enclave on Auto Trader is with 87,000 miles is about $15,000.
Oh wow!
And it's probably worth every penny of that because it's under 100,000 miles. However, putting a third of that into the transmission alone is not a smart thing. I think I would. Mildred, I'll tell you, you're getting a source and a price from one outlet. You need to get more opinions from other sources.
Okay.
You need to call, first of all, if you don't know one, there are several good ones in the area. First of all, call a transmission shop that specializes just in the transmission portion of it. They do this day in and day out, and they're specialized in just the transmission. They are normally going to be less expensive, and I would at least give that a shot first. Then I would look around for a used transmission that can be installed, and usually the way it works now, you can get a used transmission from a reputable wrecking place. They will give you options on warranties. You pay X amount for a 6-month warranty. You pay more for a 1 year. You pay a little more for a 2 year. I mean, there's a lot of options here. I think that is way out of the ballpark financially. I think you can do better and still keep your car, yes.
Okay. Oh, that is wonderful. And great news. My husband will be happy to hear that.
If you need help, you call us, and we'll try to help you any way we can, at least with information or sources, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Y'all
Mildred.
have a great week.
Lord bless you.
This is Bob Brooks, 1-877-913-5357. You also got to think about if Mildred says, okay, I'm going to sell the car. Mm-hmm. Well, she's going to take a big.
What are you going to get for a car that won't go anywhere?
You're going to get a hit on the transmission.
Certainly.
So it looks just glancing at Auto Trader, it looks pretty consistent around that $15,000 value.
You know, it drops considerably once you cross the 100,000 mile border.
Yeah,
so
and it shouldn't, should it? Really?
No,
not this
I
day
don't
and-
think
not
so,
this
but
day
it
and
does
time.
in the real world of finance. It does on the books. The car drops dramatically after 100,000.
But you know what's interesting is, and anybody can do what I just did. You just go to autotrader.com. But the $5,500, that's just insane.
Well, it is insane in my opinion.
Doesn't make sense
for that transmission, but there are some.
Oh yeah,
out there
exactly.
that
Well, you're
really,
absolutely right.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. On a 2016 model car, though, that seems extremely excessive.
Right. That's a very economical vehicle. It's not top of the line. It's not, an exotic foreign import. And, I think my opinion is she can do better than $5,500.
Oh, but I think definitely. The other thing too is you always say anything over $500, get a second opinion. Would you agree? When it comes to something like a transmission, you'd get maybe a second and a third.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to get as many opinions as you can, at least phone calls. If you know the transmission's bad, nobody has to look at the car.
Right.
But in Mildred's case, in her defense, let me tell you, that's exactly what she did. She did the exact thing we're talking about, and that is get a second opinion. Now, the fact that she called me makes it a second opinion, but she didn't have to call me. She could call other mechanics, other shops, other resources.
Right.
But she called me and got a second opinion, and my opinion is make some phone calls. I think you can do a lot better.
1-877-913-5357. That is the number to call, and I do have a line open. So the choice between rebuilding and buying a used one. What's generally the best way to go?
Let me clarify that. There's usually 3 options here. You can buy factory remanufactured transmission from, in her case, the GM dealer, because it's a Buick. It'll be a GM product. That's one way to go, and that would be the most expensive product. The labor would be the same in all three cases. You're taking the transmission out and installing another one. So the labor is going to be the same across the board. But you can buy a factory reman, which is through the dealership and through GM. Then you can have your transmission rebuilt at a reputable transmission shop. They're all over the place. Most of them are good. You got some that may have issues, but for the most part, they're good. They will give you a price, and they will usually do a good job. They pull it out, they rebuild it, and they reinstall it, and you're done. Then the third option is to buy a completely used transmission from a car that was smashed, that the transmission wasn't hurt, and then you can buy it with warranties, depending on how much you want to spend, which I believe is a good idea, Bob. You should at least get a couple of year warranty on it.
Definitely.
But anyway, they're offering different warranty coverage for different prices, and have that installed by anybody can do that. I mean, an independent shop can do that. But those are the three options. And between those three options, I believe Mildred can do tremendously better than that.
1-877-913-5357. Or you going to say something else?
Oh, I was going to comment on something that you said at the beginning of the program when we opened. Mm-hmm. You said we didn't get a chance to discuss today's program much. But we were talking about other issues. But you said saving money on your car. Now, I've been thinking about that ever since you said it. But, a coffee can with a slot in the top, putting bills in there and stuff, that's fine, saving money. But doing it on your car, Bob, I'm not so sure. Seems like anybody could take it off your car if you, did that. So.
Oh, that music couldn't have come sooner now. 1-877-913-5357. This is Bob Brooks. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hello, this is Bob Brooks. Proverbs 22:3 and Proverbs 27:12 are the exact same verse word for word. I call them the stewardship verses of risk. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. On the Prudent Money Radio Show, we teach about risk, how to identify it, how to figure it out, and what to do about it. We believe that to be a prudent steward, you have to be a good risk manager. Listen to the Prudent Money Radio Show on Bible School Radio 91.3. Prudent Money, home of the modern-day steward movement.
This is Rob Randall, your host and teacher of the Invisible War radio program. The Invisible War is the study of God's Word on how to walk in Christ's victory in the spiritual battles we face against the powers of darkness. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 right here on KDKR and KYJC in Commerce, your station for life.
We seek after God for those physical things which, though they are very important, they are not the most important. We miss out entirely on the whole spiritual realm of what Jesus is offering us when he says, I am the bread of life.
Join Dr. David Jeremiah for his series, The I Am Statements of Jesus, next time on Turning Point.
Weekday mornings at 9 o'clock here on KDKR.
This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the special Car Corner edition of Prudent Money. 1-877-913-5357. That is the number to call, and I do have a line open. One of the things we were talking about last week, and I wanted to continue this conversation because we didn't get through it. We were talking about inflation and the effect on the automotive repair business. And, boy, that is really the costs have really gone up. You really haven't, from your past conversations, I gather, you really haven't made an intentional effort to really try to keep up with where prices are going, which I admire that because you're trying to hold off as long as possible. But I guess where my question is let's say that prices are up 20%. over the past 2 or 3 years.
Which they are.
So 20% actually is about, I think, a very accurate number of inflation. You know, you go to grocery stores, on average, you're seeing about 20% on pre-owned cars. You're seeing about 20%, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree with that number. Cost of inflation, I know for a fact that I just heard was 17.9.
Yeah,
cost of living. I'm sorry, not so inflation. Yeah, I would say you're pretty accurate. And I personally am not saying that all businesses. I mean, I can only control what I'm in control of, my own personal business, and that is, I've been trying to eat a lot of the costs simply because, trying to stay competitive and stay, try to absorb as much as I can reasonably, but the time has come where I couldn't keep doing it. I've had to go up lately because I just can't absorb all of this. I can't take this hit all the time. And I thought it would level off or slow down, and it just seems to keep going. So you can't just, you can't just keep taking the hit and the hit and the hit like that, because you're going to be out of business pretty soon. So a lot of business owners, I know restaurants are that, a lot of businesses, not just automotive, but all businesses across the board have had to increase due to necessity, not due to being mean or greedy. It's necessity.
You know, it's interesting, and I'm going to talk about this at the webinar on Wednesday, is to talk about inflation. It's what's interesting is that inflation's not just driven by one factor. There's multiple factors that really drive the prices up on goods and services. One of which, and I remember back during COVID, as they were interviewing a restaurant owner. Mm-hmm. And he was making the comment that he was going to have to raise his prices because everybody else is the coming inflation, which was not really even a thing at that point yet. But one of the factors of inflation is the expectation that there's going to be inflation, and so they'll raise prices to get ahead of the curve. I always thought that was it was interesting.
That's not a new business model. We used to be in the gas station business, my dad and I, for years when I was a little kid. I was kind of brought up in that business. And, when we came to Dallas, the big companies like ExxonMobil and some of the big companies, where representatives would call and give us a heads up that gasoline prices were going to cost us 1/2 cent more or 1 penny more for the next load, and you would have to increase your price ASAP because you had to stay ahead of that. It's kind of like inflation, Bob, but it was a business model. You had to stay ahead of the price increase so that you could afford your next tank of fuel, which is, at the time I think was 9,200 gallons at a time. That's a big check you got to write.
Sure. 1-877-913-5357. Let's talk to John on line 1. John, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Good afternoon. Yes, sir. I've got a 2015 Silverado pickup, and 2 years ago I lost my other set of keys, and I went to 2 dealerships. My God, they want $400-something for that FOB key,
Crazy.
And I don't know if I can name the place or not, but there's other places that offer me a lot cheaper. I just thought, do I have to get a dealership to get it programmed?
No, you don't. What I will tell you to do, have you tried a locksmith by chance?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Yes, sir. It's a lot cheaper, but I didn't know.
Right.
They told me, no, you really can't trust. You better get a dealership.
Whatever. Well, you can. Let me tell you, John. You can shop around at a few locksmiths. A locksmith can do the same thing. They can provide you with the transmitter, and they can provide you with the programming, and it's a lot cheaper. I would definitely call around and. There's locksmiths. I don't know of one in particular, but I know I've suggested that to people in the past, and they actually have informed me. That's how I learn these things. Customers will tell me that, hey, we went to a locksmith. He did the whole thing for X amount of dollars, and I got 2 new keys and 2 new transmitters and blah, blah, blah. So certainly look into a locksmith. I think that's going to be your option for trying to, you know.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm 73 years old, and I tell you, it's hard, but $400-something.
Can you believe that? Now,
yeah, that's hard for me to accept.
He's 73, and he
Yeah.
knows what a key. You could go to have a key blank and cut it yourself and make it for $4. Remember, John? You could
Yes,
make
sir,
your
I
own
remember
key
that
at
so long.
a.
I mean, my dad used to. I remember listening to his key all the time.
Now
But,
it's
I
now
just
it's.
thought I'd call and find
Yeah.
out, sir. And
Well, John,
that's what I want to do.
call a few locksmiths and see what you can do. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and you probably won't have to call me back. But if you need to call me back, call me, and I will help you any way I can, and we'll find a cheaper alternative. But surely you're going to be pleasantly surprised, I think. Okay.
Well, sir, you helped me a lot. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I love your show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, and Lord bless you, John.
You know, Tony Joe, I remember those days. And
You're
not
too
you're
young
not-
to remember.
No.
Do you remember the days when you could go to the hardware store,
Yes.
match up your key with
Yes.
a blank,
I've
put it
se-
in
I
the
can see it. I
machine.
can see it in my mind right now.
and you put it in the machine and you clamp it down, and then you could grind the key to the pattern of you
Yeah.
put your key and another key of blank, and then you could grind
Yeah.
to the pattern. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Wow. Your town was way behind the times then, because that was back in the 70s, I think.
I did
when
grow up in Waco.
Yeah, you're the man.
So I remember one time buying. We bought a car. Sherry and I bought a car. It's a really long time ago, but I knew her. Be careful here. Her potential of losing a key, and they told me the guy looks at me in the finance office because you want to get warranty on that key. I said warranty, and I'm still thinking cut your own key.
Mm-hmm.
It's warranty on that key. Are you kidding me? He goes, it costs $500 to replace it. How much is the warranty? Because that, and the wheel and the tires scraping.
Not to belabor this point, but I got to tell you, you just brought me in mind of something that people also need to realize. Number one, that key, that some keys have the transmitter built into the key, with the buttons and everything.
Right.
Some keys have a separate transmitter, but the key may be coded. What I'm trying to point out is keys are not like they used to be. When you come home at night, don't throw take your jailer's keys out and throw them on the counter and go grab a beer out of the fridge. I mean, you got to be careful with this stuff now. It's all highly sophisticated electronic devices. So you don't just toss them around, and you try to keep them away from magnets. In case you don't know that, I wouldn't place your transmitter on top of a magnet, just a refrigerator magnet, something like that. I've seen people hang their keys like that, and I'm like, man, that's scary because you can erase some of the programming that way. So you want to keep them away from magnets, and you want to put them down gently. That thing's $500. Don't just toss it on the counter.
Yeah, I think that when people start thinking about it, let me ask you a question. Are they justified in charging $500 for a key?
Here's the argument, Bob. You've got the Hyundai phenomena where Hyundai had a problem where it was so easy to steal and bypass a Hyundai that they could hotwire it and get away with it. Now you have the argument that, our security is a lot tighter. We've got good security on our car. You can't steal it because we have such great. Well, that encompasses part of that security system encompasses having a keyless entry and a fob that will, turn the lights on and open the doors and all the fancy beep the horn, open the trunk. Yeah, it's sophisticated, and the research and the programming and all that goes into the technology costs a lot of money. Is it justified? No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I mean, you don't have a choice, really.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
But is it justified? No. I remember somebody calling me 2 summers ago in the heat of the summer, full of groceries, a young mom at Kroger parking lot. I don't know what to do. I push in my fob and it won't unlock the doors, and it's hot out here in my milk and everything. I said, well, take the key and put it in the door and unlock it manually. You can do that? I said, yeah. She puts it, unlocks it manually, opens the door. I said, You know, there was a time when we had to do that in real life. We didn't have all this fancy push-button stuff.
Well, think about this. If you say you lease a car, you turn the car in, and you don't have that extra key, I'm sure they charge you.
Oh, they certainly will.
for that.
Oh, yeah, that key is important to the security system of that car. They're not going to let you slide on that.
Oh, man. This is Bob Brooks. You got a question for me, please go to the website at prudentmoney.com and send it in, because we are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time, keep the faith and have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.